Right.
Okay, ma'am.
Good morning, grade 11s. In this session, we're quickly going to look at the formation procedure of companies. So we're still at chapter 5 of your notes, and it starts here on page 16. Yesterday, we finished off with the challenges and of companies versus other forms of ownership. So it's just after that, there by number 13. So we're going to run through the steps. I also think that this is fairly important in the grade 11 syllabus as opposed to grade 10, where they may be mostly looked at advantages, disadvantages, pardon, and characteristics of the different forms of ownership. We are focusing more on companies in grade 11, and please be assured that it will also be examinable in grade 12. So it is important that we get this sorted out and that we are familiar with this by the time we get to grade 12. Right, so first of all, if we look at the procedure for formation of companies, now this is fairly brief, and I've searched a little bit on the internet. We see a lot of resources for overseas companies and how things are done there, but in South Africa it is slightly different. But if you go to the CIPC's website, the Companies Intellectual Property Commission website, they actually take you through the steps quite easily, and most of it nowadays can be done online and fairly quickly. So if you've got some time and some data left, it's actually quite interesting to go and have a look at how things are done there. I think it's much easier than a number of years ago. Okay, so let's start with the procedure for the formation of companies. First of all, obviously there must be people who decide, okay, we're going to start a company. Now this can be for a private or a public company. Then you have to reserve a company name with the Registrar of Companies. That all falls now under the CIPC, so that will be done on that website. You can, I think, submit things manually, but especially in the times we live in today, I'd rather straight go on the website and fill in everything there. So if you want to reserve a name, you do that with the Registrar of Companies, which falls under the CIPC. Then we're going to look at these things a little bit more in depth in the next page, but we have to prepare a memorandum of incorporation. So incorporation means how we're going to start or float this company. And then you're going to file a notice of incorporation to say, okay, we want to start this company. You will also obtain a unique registration number, and that number is important that it is displayed on all formal documentation with regard, if the company is issuing a quotation or an invoice or whatever, any formal documentation, that registration number must be visible, because that also tells the people that you're dealing with that this company is registered with the CIPC and that it is it's met all the requirements of registration and it's a valid running company. Obviously, all companies must be registered with the Registrar of Companies under the CIPC. Then you obviously have to open a bank account and register for tax with SARS, the South African Revenue Service. And then the last step is to draw up a prospectus for potential investors. You can perhaps just add here in brackets that this last one would apply more for your public company. It's not necessary to draw up a prospectus for a private company. Why? Because normally with a private company, it's already a number of people, business associates or family members, who decide we want to start a company, and they take up all the shares. They don't have to advertise. The company doesn't have to advertise for people to buy the shares. So the prospectus is basically to explain to other people, the public, why it's a good thing to buy shares in this public company. So the last one would apply more obviously to your public companies. Pardon. So, okay, let's have a look at the legal requirements of the name of the company. think we've touched on that in term 1, but let's just rather go through it. First of all, the name of the company must be original and must not be misleading. So when you submit your suggestions for a name for your company, it will go through a screening process on the CIPC site anyway. And they will also look out for things that might be conflicting with other businesses or companies, or contrasting, because there shouldn't be like a reason for people to think, okay, I'm doing business with this company, but in fact they thought it's another company that is actually the company they're looking for. So it's important that you choose an original name, and I think it's just better anyway. You don't want to be too closely linked to other businesses. Then the company's name must appear on all the company documents, for example letterheads. It's obviously to identify the business. Reserving a name for a company is the first step to register a company, but it's also not compulsory. Sometimes you can just use your registration number as the name of the company. That's also fine. Names can be reserved for a period of 6 months by the CIPC. So, for example, if you haven't got all your other documentation and everything sorted out, the CIPC can reserve that name for you for a couple of months. As we've already said, the name must not be similar or the same as any other company unless it is part of a group. Now, I, for example, have friends who's they've got a private company, and they've got Vuvani, that's the name of their company, and then they've got sort of sub-companies part of the group. They've got Vuvani Health and Vuvani Consulting. So that is acceptable, but it's also then usually the same people who are the shareholders and the owners of that company. So that would be acceptable. And as we said, it must not imply, suggest, or mislead a person to believe that the company is part of another person or the business or the state. But the CIPC will sort those names out anyway. And then the name must not be offensive, promote violence or hatred, or cause any harm. So your name must be legit and nice on the ear. And the name must not be shortened and translated. So it means can't be just an abbreviation. It should be a full name. And the name of the company must indicate the type of company as follows. The name of a company must end with, let me just see if it carries on here. Okay, I think it came off here. So the name of, let's just add that in, a private company must end private, must end with PTY, LTD, and a public company, you know that by now, but let's just make this full, must end with LTD. Right, so that will indicate also to people doing business with you whether this is a private company or a public company. Okay, let me just rather say with LTD, that makes a bit more sense. Okay, now let's look at the memorandum of incorporation. So this is one of the documents that must be completed in order to register. Remember, we spoke about it here, the formation of a company. So one of the documents that you must know about is the memorandum of incorporation, or in short, the MOI. Now, what is the MOI? This serves as the constitution of the company. Now, what does that mean? It means this is the basis of the company, what this company sets out to achieve, what the business operation is about. So this is like the basis, what's the other word I want to think, foundation of the company. Companies are governed according to the rules stated in the Memorandum of Association. So it's important to list all the things that you think are important in this Memorandum of Association, because if there's problems later on, people will refer back to the MOI. Each company must provide a copy of its MOI to the CIPC. So that is part of your formation or registration procedure. You have to submit an MOI. It also describes the relationship between the business and all the stakeholders. So it could describe the founding members or the incorporators, the shareholders, the directors, and so on. So all the different parties who have interest in this company. It describes the rights, responsibilities, and duties of shareholders and directors, and it also provides details of incorporation. That's how incorporation is how the business is started. Yeah, incorporation, how the business is started, the number of directors, so how many people will be on the board of directors, and then they have to give information on the share capital. For example, how many shares are going to be issued at what initial amount, are there any other types like bonds or securities, and obviously what they want to do with this share capital. We also get different types of shares like preference shares, and that has to be described in the MOI. It includes information about a company's name, the registration office, and record. So this is like a blueprint for each company, and that has to be submitted to the CIPC as part of the registration process of a company. All right, so here they tell us what must be included in this MOI. First of all, the incorporators. If you want to add there on your notes, who are incorporators? Those are the founding people or the founding persons of this company. So the people who decide to start this company, they are called the incorporators. The nature of the company, so what type of business this will be. Securities of the company, do they perhaps have any banks underwriting? I'll talk about that a little bit later. Do they maybe have any other assets already that will be listed as part of the MOI? Then shareholders and meetings, how is that going to happen? When will shareholders meetings take place? Once again, how many shares will be issued initially, and so on. The directors and officers, so anybody who's in charge or managing this company, their details. The name of the company, main objective, so what does this company want to achieve, in what field is this company going to operate, number of shares each incorporator will purchase. So now we said the incorporator are the people starting this business, so there they will indicate, okay, I want to start this company, so as a founding member or a founding or incorporator, I will take up so many shares. So that will also be described in the memorandum of incorporation. I must be honest, I think it would be quite strange if somebody would start a company and would not be prepared to take up shares in the company that he or she is starting up. So I think that's sort of a given. The amount of share capital registered, so registered initially, so how many shares at what amount, that will constitute our share capital. The rules and regulations of the company, how this company is run, and then the name of the auditor. This all has to be included in the MOI, the Memorandum of Incorporation. All right, so now the Notice of Incorporation. This is another document that must be compiled and completed as part of the registration process. This notice must be lodged together with the standard form of Memorandum of Incorporation. So all of this together with the Notice of Incorporation must be lodged with the CIPC, and it contains the following. So you can see there's quite a bit of paperwork included in this. Just as a side note, when I went onto the CIP's website, there's also standard forms that you don't necessarily have to think out all these things. You can literally fill in the form, so that will help you if you want to start a company one day. So the type of company, is it private or public? When is the financial year end? Remember, we said the financial year can run from any run for any 12 consecutive months. We know that our government uses from 1st of March till the 28th of February. In effect, many companies choose their financial year from the 1st of July till the 30th of June, for whatever reason, but I know that many companies use that financial year. Then the numbers of the directors, so how many, and I assume also their names, the incorporation date, so when this company is going to start, the registered address, so the physical address, where is this company going to conduct its business from, and then the name of the company, whether it's a reserved one or then one that has already been allocated to them. Good. So this is then the MOI that you have to know about. Then the Notice of Incorporation is another document. And then we move on to the prospectus. Now, remember, you can maybe just write here applicable to a public company. What is the meaning of the prospectus? As I said, this is basically an advertisement where you tell the public why they must buy shares in your company. So it's a written invitation to the public to buy securities, shares offered by a public company. It is a formal legal document giving details about investment offerings to the public. So they will explain, perhaps, and they will give information about the directors or how this company came about, who thought about it, why did they start this company, to give the potential investors also some background and assurance that it's a good thing for them to invest their money in this company. A prospectus can only be issued by a company, and it must be within 3 months after the date of registration. Obviously, I assume that the sooner you issue a prospectus, the sooner you can sell your shares. So that should be done, I think, as soon as possible. And obviously, as we said, it gives information about the business. Good. Now, a few other concepts that's quite important and interesting. The first one, the meaning of the initial order offer, or the IPO. This is when the company issues shares to the public for the first time. Now, I will also put a link or a video, unfortunately from overseas, but it explains this whole process quite nicely. I just want to read through this, and then I'll discuss it a bit. The company must produce prospectus before undertaking the initial offering, obviously, because we need to tell the public what is this company about, and why they have to, why it's a good thing for them to buy the shares. Now, the next point. Most companies undertake an initial or IPO offering with the assistance of an investment banking firm acting in the capacity of an underwriter. Now, what does this mean? Initially, the company will have to determine how much or how many shares need to be sold in order to start this company. And what they usually do with this IPO, they go and they contact or what's the correct word now? Yeah, get the help of an investment banking firm or a financial institution. And that financial institution obviously looks at the prospectus and then decide, okay, we're going to take the risk and we will sell all the initial, or we will buy up or take up all those first share offering, we'll take it up and then we will put it on the JSE to be sold. So they take up all those shares. It is a risk. They do it also at a fee, those banking or financial institutions, but then the company knows that all those first shares are taken up. So it is advertised or given or issued to the public, but usually this IPO, the initial order offer, is usually taken up by a bank, and then it's traded on the JSE after that. So that is what this initial order offer means, or IPO. Now, maybe let's just change this to initial public. That will make more sense. Offer, IPO. Right. Now, what happens after that? Then we get to the secondary offering. A secondary offering is an offering of securities or shares by a shareholder of the company as opposed to the company itself. So that is when shares are now being traded. The first one is your primary offering or your initial public offering. The second one is your secondary offering. A secondary offering is the sale of new or closely held shares by the company that has already made an initial public offering. So that's when shares are traded. It can also mean, say the company needs more capital, they want to expand. Then they can sell shares that they haven't put on the JSE previously. That will also be your secondary offering. And then those are also sold to the public. So the initial public offering is what needs to be sold in order to start this company and float this company and get this company going. It is usually taken up by a financial institution or an investment bank, and then at a fee, they sort of provide the security to say, okay, you can start your company because we will take these shares, and then after that, the shares are traded on the JSE. In the video, they talk about the New York Stock Exchange. What is over here? Somebody's asking something. Let me just say. Yes, afternoon. You're welcome to join. Are you in? I hope so. Then the secondary offering is when the trading of shares takes place, or when the company releases more shares after the initial public offering. Right, what must be included in the prospectus? Company overview, including the vision, mission, and goals of the business. That's important because we need to attract shareholders through the prospectus. The product or service portfolio, so what product or services is this company offering? Market analysis and strategy. That means obviously potential investors need to see if there has been, if market research has been done, and that findings and information and graphs and so on and statistics need to be presented or should be presented in the prospectus. Then the management team, so who's going to be on the board of directors, the risk and the potential of the business. So maybe they can say we have identified these and these businesses as our competitors, and that our company has got some growth potential in future. We can expand with this, expand with that. Available financial and share information. They would probably say how many shares have been taken up with by the incorporators, how many shares do they initially plan to issue, etc., at what price, and so on. The company's assets and liabilities, if it already has some, it will be listed in the prospectus. Then the financial position, I think it would be sort of a forecast, especially if it's a new company. They might not know what the financial position is like. And the same with profits and losses. They would probably do estimates to say, in the first year, we predict that we will have a loss of 50,000 Rand. Second year, we'll make a profit of 1 million Rand, and so on. Also, the cash flow projection, that's important for investors to know. If they invest money in this company by buying shares, what is this money going to be used for? Is it just going to be used to pay the director's salaries, or is this money actually going to be used to grow this business and make it successful? Once again, prospects for growth. So what are they planning for this company? How will this company grow in future? Any pre-incorporation contracts that have been signed. So that could be that you've already made some agreement or signed some contracts with clients or suppliers for that matter, and it's then very important to disclose this in your prospectus as well. The date of registration of the prospectus, so that people can also see when was this prospectus drawn up. You don't want to see a prospectus of a company of 2 years ago. You want to see something current and valid. And then the minimum subscription, that is, if you want to add it in there for yourself, minimum subscription is the minimum number of shares that must be sold in order for this business to operate. So the minimum amount of capital that this business needs in order to start, this company needs in order to start or to become viable. So that is your minimum subscription. Okay, and I think that is then the end of the registration and incorporation process of companies. Remember, this prospectus one just applies to public companies. And then also the IPO, initial public offering, and the secondary offering would also apply to public companies, because in a private company, those shares are taken up immediately by the shareholders that form the specific private company. Okay, so if we just go back up, let's just quickly recap. We looked at the procedure, the formation procedure of companies. Those would be the same for your public and your private, unless they talk about the prospectus. Then the legal requirements of the name. To be dead honest, grade 11s, I would just choose 2 or 3 years to learn. I don't think they'll ask a lot about that, and it's quite repetitive, all of these things. Then the memorandum of incorporation, you might make sure that you know what this is about, and then what must be included in the memorandum of incorporation. Then the notice of incorporation, another document that you must know, and then the prospectus, which applies to the public companies. Then also know what is the meaning of an initial public offering or offer, and what is the meaning of the secondary offering. I have another chat here. Let's see. Okay, the mic is not working. Let's just quickly check. But I want to ask, is there a limit to the number of businesses an owner can register at the CIPC? I hope you are here, but okay, I'll type it up for you. I don't think that there is a limit to that. You can register as many businesses as you want. To be dead honest, I don't think that there is a limit. I think there's quite a number of people who have registered and who are part of companies who have a lot of them. You can, like, I think. Let's just enter there. Okay. So public offering, the initial one, the secondary offering, and then aspects that must be included in the prospectus. So that's what we ran through today. Any questions, Jacqueline?
Ma'am?
Yes.
What do you mean? So, like, if there are no limits to like registering different types of names for the businesses and stuff, then what? Why isn't there any limit to registering names for your business?
Look, I just think that it depends on we don't think it, but there are people with lots and lots of money, so they will most probably start. You know, they can start many different companies, and I honestly don't think there's a limit to how many companies you can own or start. It depends obviously on what your idea is with this company. Are you going to start it? Maybe be an incorporator, sell the company later on. So there can be many reasons why people start businesses and why they might start lots of them. But I don't think there's a limit to how many you can. Obviously, it must be something you can manage and control. But I haven't seen that they've said anywhere, you know, a person can only start so many companies. I don't think there's a limit to that.
Oh,
right,
okay.
did that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions?
Not that I can think of right now. I'll probably ask you on the Google Classroom.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, guys, I'm going to then stop the recording. I will post this on Google Classroom as well with that other video that describes the IPO quite nicely and the secondary offering. That will explain it a bit better. And then tomorrow we'll start with acquiring businesses, and we'll run through that while we still wait for the notes on the production function. Thanks for joining, and I'll chat to you tomorrow again.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Bye.